Hello all of you little demons, Jules here for WhatCulture.com, back again with another episode of the awesomely named and awfully hosted Tues Your Own Adventure, the weekly medieval themed format where I, the crown Jules of WhatCulture.com, take a list chosen by you, yes you the person who is on their 7th cup of coffee of the day and can hear colours. Yes, you get to decide what list I dole out to you each and every week, and this week we have none other to thank than the Gaming Lord for their suggestion of the weirdest video game healing items. Now, this is the thing, I've actually covered this topic before. In fact, it was on a previous Choose Your Own Adventure that I did the original, but why not circle back around and give this another go, my friends? So let's get on with it. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 8 more of the most bizarre healing items in video games. Number 8, planting a tree, SHADOWRUN 2007. So, let us begin with a question. James, in battle, while the bullets are flying all around you and magic is scorching the mortar next to your precious bonce, what is the absolute last thing that you think to do as enemy forces advance on your position?
I think that the last thing I'd do is plant a tree.
I feel this is an unfair contest because you've already seen the script and you know that yes, it was about planting a tree. You've ruined this! Because yes, if you said plant a f***ing tree, then congratulations, you win absolutely nothing other than a bullet in the back while you're tending to your botanical wonder. Say hello to the Tree of Life from SHADOWRUN, a spell that you can bust out to regain a few precious points of health should you find that you've been supping on a shotgun shell sandwich. Now, while the actual Tree of Life does make some sense as an object of renewal and life, seeing as it appears across a multitude of religions and mythological tales, but it makes decidedly less sense when it's applied to the SHADOWRUN game itself. And why is that, I hear you ask? Well, it's because the Tree of Life, for as wondrous as it is, also does not give 2 squirts of piss as to who it actually heals, because it will heal you and your allies and your bloody enemies. Thus, you have a spell that looks and acts in a truly bizarre manner. A giant tree of love that you might end up hating as it regenerates your enemies back to full health. Number 7. Your enemy's blood. ULTRAKILL. So, ULTRAKILL, if you've not already guessed by the name, is a little bit very violent. And by that I mean that if you're not killing something every single second you're playing, then you simply aren't playing it right, as this is a game that rewards, punishes, and even heals you by getting stuck in and tearing off the jaws of your enemies to turn into makeshift back scratchers. Yet it's the last part of those mechanics that proves to be the most bizarre, as you do in fact heal yourself by bathing in the literal blood of your enemies. The game makes it clear that going up against a horde of enemies is going to leave you with a few scratches, and so to remedy this, you need to get right up close and personal and let the blood you so wantonly spill douse you entirely. Now true, the game does cap how much health you can regenerate back, with a hard cap being set by the enemy damage that you take, so you can't just like wade into the enemies and just expect to come out on top by just hitting the attack button over and over again, but still, the ability to heal by literally showering yourself in your enemy's blood, well, it is brilliant, it is bizarre, and I want more of it. Number 6, bin and floor food, various video games. So why is it that video games, be they from the arcade heyday all the way up to the current installation of ocular craziness that we experience in the day-to-day, all rely on the same gimmick of making us eat food off the floor? I honestly feel for germaphobes whenever they pick up the likes of Castlevania or Streets of Rage 4 and are forced to eat chicken out of walls and floors, as even as a man who may as well have turned the 5-second rule into a new religion for how devoted I am to it, the idea of eating a full rotisserie that's got a wood filler dusting or comes with a side of used nappy turns my stomach fully. And yes, watching Booker DeWitt fish through bins for candy bars might well inform us that the man is indeed a piece of trash, but it's still a ridiculous and bizarre method to patch up a shotgun wound. And I'd wager that if you went to a real-life doctor with an axe wound and said, "Can you heal this?" and he just went, "Yeah, sure, I'm writing you a prescription for a bar of nougat," you probably wouldn't come back. Because you'd be dead. Because this is ridiculous. Number 5, money. Mario 64. Now, despite what Nintendo might tell you across its marketing avalanche of smiling families and cheery characters, they are a company solely driven by what they can hoover out of your wallets. And I can almost hear them now. They're saying, "Oh, we're not like that. We're not like businessmen. What are you on about, Jules? Oh, come on, we're friends here, you and I. Look, here's a robot you can make out of cardboard. Give us £100, and no, I'm not giving you a refund if it breaks." And if you disagree with me, then I ask you, why does Mario, the face of Nintendo, Nintendo at this point, heal himself by collecting money. In Mario 64, the godfather of platforming titles, our portly ex-plumber will bandage up scrapes, scratches, and Goomba bites by stuffing coins into his very skin, which aside from being a terrifying image, probably explains all of the gold and metal Mario characters that were birthed into existence across the years. Their bodies becoming so full of bullion that they actually become a living tribute to greed. And suddenly, with that one image in your mind, the Mario-verse becomes a whole lot darker, doesn't it? Imagine that, the giant metallic Marios and Peaches stomping across the landscape. Consume, download, pre-order. Nintendo for kids. Number 4, sexy ladies. Silent Scope. Ah, Silent Scope. You really don't forget your true first love, do you? And for me, it was this game, which I played relentlessly as a youth, some 16 years and 23 days ago, I'm not counting apparently, when I used to visit my local bowling alley. And I used to go there with my friends, and in between a copy of Soul Blade that I swear was never wiped down because the screen was permanently covered in like this thick Vaseline coating, awful. And on the other side, there was an ice dispenser, which, thinking about it, is an electrical fire waiting to happen, was a copy of Silent Scope. And I loved this game. If you've not played it before, it's basically an arcade shoot-'em-up, but you get to use a giant sniper rifle as the controller and look down the scope. It was every little boy's dream. Maybe cut the bit before it was every little boy's dream, because what am I saying there? Either that girls don't want to shoot stuff, or that little kids want to shoot stuff. Like I say, the best thing about this game was the central gimmick of having to look down the scope to actually be able to pinpoint your enemies, and alongside some truly tight shots made for a brilliant time, whatever the weather. Now, it's also a title that contained one of the most bizarre ways to heal your character ever, and was likely why this title was very popular with the local teens devoid of internet smut, as here you would heal by peeping on sexy ladies who were dotted throughout the stages. That's right, as well as using your eye of judgment to mark out terrorists and threats, you were also able to sweep your oogling ocular orbs over late 90s pixelated softcore. It definitely made for some strange moments indeed, especially seeing as the missions that you were on usually revolved around things like, I don't know, stopping the president from being domed in the head, and here you were just peeping down the lens like some sort of silent scamp. In fact, you can't even say that he's silent in this case, because every time he looks at the women, he goes, "Oh, wow." I mean, mate, is this your first time seeing a pair of bongos? Chill out. Number 3, health pipes. Postal 2. Okay, so let's make no bones about this. Postal 2 is a very, 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 very weird game. Playing this title is the equivalent of having a conversation with that kid at school who spent all of their time on Rotten.com, and that every interaction is going to be laced with depressing amounts of violence and a worrying amount of content that will make you wish you'd been born without eyes or ears. And yet that kid and the Postal video games by extension will just not shut up and shove all manner of crude, offensive, and water cooler masturbatory images into your face. And of course, not even healing items manage to escape its edgelord taint, as here, alongside other healing items, you can have a cheeky little puff on a, air quotes, health pipe to perk you back up. And by health pipe, I actually mean crack pipe. Yep. By huffing some healing hard rock, Postal Dude not only regains some health, but also gets a boost to his strength, meaning that you can become a whirling dervish of destruction across the city. However, as you might expect from smoking actual crack, there are some slight drawbacks, namely that you will become addicted to the pipe and need to smoke more in order to avoid a come down, which will actually drain your health. So long story short, you better kick the pipe because it is not worth it in the slightest. Number 2, do nothing. Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I'll tell you what, James, I do have a lot of fun with these kazoos. Do you want to borrow it? Have a little toot, mate. Have a little toot. Here you go. Oh, sorry about that, mate.
I need to go to A&E.
No, don't bother going to A&E. Don't just sit there and wait a little bit.
Why?
Well, because in the Call of Duty games, if you just sit there and just chill out for a bit, have a wee sit down, you'll heal back up to full. Get a shotgun shell right to the face and just walk it off, innit? Have a little nap. Why not? Sleep off a concussion. That's what these games are telling us. Feel better now?
James?
And number 1, by becoming a furry, Sonic 06. Now, while technically the following method of healing isn't one that the player actively chooses to enact in the absolute raging tire fire that is Sonic 06, seeing as it occurs in a cutscene, it is something that proves to be incredibly effective in the sense that it brings Sonic back from the bloody dead, while at the same time making everyone watching it die a little inside. I'm speaking, of course, about the now infamous moment where Sonic, having been straight up murdered by the title's antagonist, Mephiles the Dark, aka Solaris, aka Iblis, aka Flames of Disaster. Seriously, mate, just pick one of these terrible playground monikers. They're all as bad as each other. In fact, I tell you what, choose Flames of Disaster because then at least you'll emulate the title you're in. And as such, Sonic is in need of a bit of healing. Which of course means that Princess Elise over here decides not to use the nebulous power of the Chaos Emeralds, but instead plant a big wet smooch on his lips, becoming the kiss that launched 1,000 yiffs and sending the furry community into an absolute meltdown. Now, no judgment to the real-life furries out there who may or may not watch this show, but seriously, from a video game perspective, this was at once incredibly lazy because we all have the magic kiss thing embedded into our minds by myth and folklore, but also it just came out of nowhere, so people were like, wait, what? Wait, what? Wait, what? I mean, just look at Knuckles' face in this scene. That is what we were feeling in this moment. And there we go, my friends. Those were 8 more bizarre ways to heal in video games. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Twitter at RetroJ, but the O is a 0, or you can follow James Dowes over here with his meme of the week, baby. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. Even though we looked at some very bizarre ways to heal yourself in video games, I want to teach you about something that is not bizarre and very easy to do to help heal yourself from the inside out, and that is just to be kind to yourself. You definitely deserve all of the love, happiness, and success in this world, and don't let anything or anyone else tell you otherwise, alright? You're a massive ledge, so treat yourself kindly, alright? Big love to you. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye. I croaked on the final word. Bye.